I should have never picked up her phone. Maybe then I could have kept pretending. Maybe then I wouldn't have felt my entire world tilt beneath me, the ground crumbling away in a landslide of betrayal. But I did. The message was simple, almost innocent to anyone else. But to me, it was a dagger straight to the chest. Last night was unforgettable. Can't stop thinking about you. When can we meet again? It wasn't my number, and it sure as hell wasn't my heart emoji. The sender? Lucas, my best friend, my business partner, a man who had sat at my dinner table, toasted with me at my wedding, laughed with my wife like we were all family. A sick weight settled in my stomach. My hands trembled as I scrolled up, uncovering a history of messages. Flirty, teasing at first, then bolder. Descriptions of stolen moments, whispered conversations, hidden rendezvous. Explicit details of what they had done, how much she missed him when she was home with me. I gritted my teeth, bile rising in my throat. I was a fool. I had suspected something for months, but I told myself I was paranoid. Anna had been distant, but she blamed work stress. She dressed up more, but she said it was for herself. And Lucas, well, he was my friend. We had built our company from the ground up, two college guys who had nothing but ambition and a shared dream. I never thought he would be the one to betray me. But there it was, black and white. Proof. Anna had fucked him. My pulse thundered in my ears as I sat at our dining table, gripping her phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. The laughter from the hallway snapped me out of my daze. Anna was home. She walked in, still glowing from the gym, leggings hugging every curve, her ponytail swinging as she checked something on her Apple Watch. "Hey, babe." She smiled at me, then frowned, sensing the shift in the air. "You okay?" I stared at her, at the woman I had loved for nearly a decade, the mother of my future children, the woman who had just been whispering about another man's touch. I wanted to scream, flip the table, demand to know why. But I didn't. Instead, I set the phone down and smiled, masking the storm inside. "I'm fine," I said, my voice steady. "Just thinking." She studied me, chewing on her lip like she always did when she wasn't sure how to respond. "Thinking about what?" "About how I'm going to make you both pay." "Work stuff," I lied. "Long day." She exhaled in relief, stepping behind me and running her fingers through my hair. "I know, baby. You've been working so hard lately. You should relax." Her lips pressed to the side of my neck. I stiffened. Once, that touch would have sent shivers down my spine. Now it made my skin crawl. I turned my head, looking up at her. "Yeah, I think I will." I let her kiss me, let her wrap her arms around me, let her think I was the same man who loved her blindly. But inside, I was already planning my next move. She and Lucas had hidden their betrayal well. Now was my turn. The morning after my discovery, I woke up with one goal in mind: revenge. Not the kind of revenge that would land me in jail. No, I wanted something clean, something cold. Something that would haunt them the way their betrayal haunted me. I wasn't just going to confront them. That would be too easy. Anna would cry, beg, and somehow twist the situation to make me feel guilty. Lucas would try to play it off, maybe even claim it was a mistake, a drunken lapse in judgment. Fuck that. I wanted them to suffer. That's when the idea hit me. If Anna had betrayed me with Lucas, the only person who could understand my pain was the one who had suffered just as much, his wife, Sophia. I barely hesitated before dialing her number. She picked up on the third ring. "Hey, Daniel. Everything okay?" Sophia had always been warm, friendly, the kind of woman who made everyone feel welcome. She and Lucas had been married for 5 years, just a couple years less than Anna and me. I could hear the smile in her voice, the trust. That trust was about to be shattered. "Hey, Sophia," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I need to talk to you about something. It's important." A brief pause. "What is it?" "I can't do this over the phone," I said. "Meet me for coffee?" Another pause. I could hear the hesitation in her breath, the flicker of confusion. "Daniel, you're scaring me." "What's going on?" I exhaled, gripping my phone tighter. "Here we go." "It's about Lucas," I said. "And Anna." Silence. Then, barely a whisper, she said, "When and where?" We met an hour later at a quiet cafe near her house. Sophia arrived looking effortlessly beautiful, long brown hair pulled back into a ponytail, her high cheekbones tense with concern. I could see the exhaustion behind her deep green eyes, like she already knew something wasn't right. "Tell me," she said, skipping any pleasantries. I slid my phone across the table. She hesitated, then picked it up. As her eyes scanned the messages, I watched the color drain from her face. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled, the same texts I had read the night before now reflecting in her horrified eyes. The playful flirting, the secret hotel meetups, the confessions of how Lucas couldn't get enough of my wife. Sophia's breath hitched. "No," she whispered. "He wouldn't, but he did." I watched her battle with denial, her mind trying to find any excuse, any possible explanation that didn't lead to the obvious. I let her sit with it, let sink in, because I knew exactly how that moment felt. The soul-crushing realization that the person you loved, the person you trusted, had made you into a fool. When she finally looked up at me, her face was unreadable. "How long?" she asked, voice hollow. "Months," I said. "Maybe longer." Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. Not yet. She just exhaled shakily and nodded. Okay. That was it. "Sophia, I know this is a lot." She cut me off. "I'm not going to sit here and sob while they keep fucking behind our backs." That's when I knew Sophia wasn't the type to crumble. She was the type to fight back. And suddenly, I realized I had found the perfect ally. We sat there for nearly an hour, going over everything. When we first noticed the changes in our spouses, the excuses they made, the times they left us home alone while they were busy. Sophia had been suspicious for weeks, but she never had proof. Now she did. "So what do we do?" she asked finally, her fingers curled around her coffee cup. "How do we make them regret this?" I leaned in, lowering my voice. "There's a charity gala next weekend. High society. Expensive. Lots of press. The kind of place where reputation is everything." Recognition flickered in her eyes. "The one Lucas is hosting?" "Exactly," I said. "And I want you to be my date." Sophia blinked. Then, slowly, a wicked smile spread across her lips. "You want to make them squirm?" "Oh, I want more than that," I said, matching her smile. Sophia set down her cup. "Then let's give them a night they'll never forget." The plan was in motion. For the next week, I played my role perfectly, business as usual, no sudden changes, no hints of suspicion. If Anna noticed anything different, she didn't show it. She still kissed me goodbye in the mornings, still sent me texts throughout the day, still came home at night smelling like expensive perfume and deception. But I wasn't blind anymore. Every touch, every glance, every lie wrapped in a smile. I saw them all for what they were now. I no longer felt anger. That had burned out, leaving behind something colder, sharper. Purpose. The charity gala was set for Saturday night, and Lucas had been promoting it for months. It was one of the biggest social events of the year, attended by the city's elite, CEOs, politicians, influencers. A night for people like Lucas and Anna to bask in their wealth and power, all while pretending to care about some noble cause. It was also the perfect stage for their downfall. And Sophia and I were going to make sure everyone in the room knew exactly who they were behind their carefully curated facades. Sophia and I met in a private hotel lounge to go over the final details. The place was dimly lit, tucked away from the main lobby, somewhere discreet, somewhere safe. She was already waiting when I arrived, sitting in a plush leather chair with a glass of wine in hand. She looked different. I had always seen Sophia as refined, elegant in an understated way. But tonight, there was something else, a spark in her eyes, a tension in her posture. She wasn't just here to talk. She was here to win. I sat across from her, setting my whiskey down on the table between us. "Are you sure you want to do this?" I asked. She smirked, swirling the wine in her glass. "Oh, Daniel, I've never been more sure of anything in my life." I leaned back, studying her. "You don't seem broken." Sophia's eyes darkened. "Oh, I was. For about a day. Then I realized I have two choices: cry in a dark room or burn their world down." I exhaled, letting a grin tug at my lips. Good, because I was never one for the darkroom approach. She leaned forward slightly, lowering her voice. "I assume we're not just showing up together to make them jealous?" "No," I said. "That's just the beginning. The real damage comes after." I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. The screen was open to a document, evidence of Lucas's other affairs. Sophia's brows lifted as she scanned through it. Wow, he's been busy. Turns out Anna wasn't the only one. I took a slow sip of whiskey. And you weren't the only wife. She looked up at me, something dangerous flashing in her gaze. And this information is going public? I nodded. During the gala, once the press gets hold of it, Lucas won't just be dealing with an angry wife. He'll be dealing with a PR disaster that will cost him everything. Sophia exhaled, setting down my phone. I love it. Then she smiled, a real one this time. But we need to make it personal first. I tilted my head. What do you have in mind? She took another sip of wine, her eyes gleaming. When did it show up? We make an entrance. The event was held in an opulent hotel ballroom, the kind that dripped with excess. Crystal chandeliers bathed the room in golden light, and everywhere you turned, you saw expensive suits, designer dresses, and perfectly practiced smiles. The moment Sophia and I stepped through the grand entrance, I felt the shift in the air. Heads turned. Conversations paused. People noticed, and so did Anna and Lucas. Across the room, I caught the exact moment Anna's laughter froze, the way her hand tightened around her champagne flute. Lucas, mid-conversation with a group of executives, turned his head and nearly choked on his drink. It was perfect. Sophia leaned into me slightly, her fingers brushing against my arm as she whispered, "They're watching." Let them. I had chosen a sharp black tuxedo, classic but commanding. Sophia, however, was the real showstopper. She wore a deep red gown, the fabric hugging her curves in a way that demanded attention. Her hair was swept to one side, exposing the elegant curve of her neck. She looked untouchable, regal, and completely out of Lucas's reach. We moved through the room like we belonged there, because we did. People murmured as we passed, some pretending not to stare, others openly curious. The whispers started almost immediately. Aren't they married to Lucas and Anna? God, they look good together. This is going to be interesting. I didn't react. Neither did Sophia. We let the rumors spread, let the tension build, let them sweat. Lucas was the first to crack. I caught the flicker of panic in his expression before he masked it with a tight smile, making his way toward us with Anna following closely behind. She was gripping his arm a little too hard, her body language screaming insecurity. "Daniel," Lucas said smoothly, nodding at me. "Sophia, I didn't expect to see you two here together." Sophia didn't hesitate. She placed a hand on my chest, her fingers just grazing the lapel of my jacket. "Why wouldn't we be here?" she said, her voice honeyed with amusement. "We've been spending a lot of time together lately." Anna's jaw tightened. Lucas shot me a look, half questioning, half pleading. He knew something was wrong. He just didn't know how bad it was going to get. I clapped a hand on his shoulder, forcing a grin. "Relax, man. You look like you've seen a ghost." His laugh was forced. Not at all. Just surprised, I guess. Anna finally spoke, her voice clipped. "Daniel, can I talk to you? Alone?" "Oh, sweetheart. Not yet." I kept my smile in place. "Sorry, Anna. I promised Sophia I'd be by her side all night." The color drained from her face. And just like that, the game had begun. There's something about a well-planned ambush that makes the air electric, like the moment before a storm breaks. The charity gala was in full swing, laughter and clinking glasses filling the opulent ballroom. The elite of the city had gathered here in their finest. Flowing gowns, sharp tuxedos, carefully curated masks of wealth and status. But the real show? That was just beginning. Sophia and I had already done our job. Our entrance had turned heads, sparked whispers, set fire to the undercurrents of gossip that thrived in these circles. The carefully crafted illusion of our cheating spouse's perfect lives was about to shatter. And they knew it. Lucas had recovered from his initial shock, but I could see the tension in the way he stood, shoulders squared, jaw tight, hands gripping his whiskey glass just a little too hard. Anna, on the other hand, was doing what she did best, acting. "Daniel," she said again, her voice sweet but strained. "A word, please." She still thought she could fix this. Sophia didn't let me answer. Instead, she slid her hand down my arm, her nails grazing my skin just enough to send a ripple of sensation through me. "Oh, I don't know, Daniel," she murmured, making sure both Anna and Lucas could hear. "I was looking forward to that dance you promised me." My lips curved, and I always keep my promises. Anna's expression barely flickered, but I knew her well enough to see the cracks. Lucas let out a forced chuckle, stepping in. "Come on, man. Just for a second." I tilted my head, feigning curiosity. "Why? Something wrong?" His eyes darted around. He didn't want a scene. "Too bad, Lucas. You should have thought of that before you fucked my wife." Sophia exhaled dramatically, stepping back. "Fine. But don't keep me waiting too long, Daniel," she purred, turning and sauntering toward the dance floor. More eyes followed her than I cared to count. Lucas grabbed my arm the second she was gone, pulling me toward the corner of the ballroom. Anna trailed behind, her heels clicking against the polished marble. As soon as we were out of earshot, Lucas turned on me. "What the fuck is this?" I arched a brow. "What's what?" He scoffed. "Don't play dumb. You and Sophia? What the hell are you doing?" Anna finally spoke, her voice softer, laced with something almost pleading. "Daniel." I held up a hand, stopping her cold. "Don't," I said flatly. "Don't insult me by pretending to be innocent." Anna swallowed. It's not what you think." That made me laugh. A sharp, bitter sound. "That's rich, because I thought you were my wife. I thought Lucas was my best friend. Turns out I was wrong about a lot of things." Lucas ran a hand through his hair, frustration flashing across his face. "Look, man, this got out of hand. Save it." I cut in. "I don't need excuses." Anna stepped closer, her perfume hitting me, a scent I once loved. "Daniel, please, let's talk about this in private." I stared at her, at the desperation creeping into her expression. She wanted to fix this, not because she regretted what she had done, but because she regretted getting caught. She thought I was going to be the same predictable, forgiving man I had always been. She was wrong. I leaned in, close enough for only her and Lucas to hear. "You don't get it, do you?" I said quietly. "You two thought you could do whatever you wanted, keep me in the dark, and everything would stay the same." Anna's lip trembled. Lucas shifted uncomfortably. I smiled. But now I'm the one pulling the strings. And with that, I turned on my heel and walked away, leaving them standing there, stunned. Sophia was waiting for me, a knowing smirk on her lips. That looked intense. I exhaled, running a hand down my tie. "They're scared." "Good," she murmured, stepping into me as the band shifted to a slow, sensual melody. "Let's give them something to really panic about." Her body pressed against mine as we moved together, her warmth bleeding into me through the fabric of our clothes. I wasn't sure if it was the thrill of revenge or something else, but there was a tension between us, something neither of us acknowledged but both felt. As we danced, I could feel the eyes on us, whispers growing, murmurs of speculation swirling around the room. And then, there they were. Anna and Lucas had rejoined the party, their carefully constructed smiles back in place, but their eyes never left us. Watching, seething. "Lucas looks like he wants to punch me," I murmured, my hand pressing against the small of Sophia's back. Sophia smirked. "Good." We moved in perfect sync, every step deliberate, every lingering touch calculated to drive the knife deeper into our spouses' guilt-ridden hearts. At one point, Sophia leaned in, her lips brushing against my ear as she whispered, "Time for the final blow." I turned my head slightly, just enough to see the fire burning in Lucas's eyes. "Do it." And then, in full view of everyone, Sophia's lips met mine. A kiss that was slow, deep, and unmistakably intimate. A kiss that sent the entire ballroom into a frenzy. A kiss that shattered whatever control Anna and Lucas thought they had left. Anna gasped audibly, her hand flying in her mouth. Lucas took a step forward, fists clenched, as if he was about to charge across the floor. The whispers exploded into full-blown murmurs. "Did you see that? Holy shit. Are they having an affair? What the hell is going on?" Sophia pulled back first, her lips curving in satisfaction. "Well," she murmured, her voice just for me. "That should do it." I glanced back at Lucas and Anna, whose entire world had just crumbled around them. Checkmate. The silence that followed our kiss was deafening. For a moment, it felt like the entire ballroom was holding its breath. Champagne flutes were frozen halfway to lips. Conversations had ceased mid-sentence. Every pair of eyes in the room was on us. On me, on Sophia, and on Lucas and Anna. Sophia was the first to move, her fingers still lightly curled around my lapel. She let out a soft, satisfied hum, tilting her head as she traced a slow, deliberate circle on my chest with her manicured nail. "That was unexpected," she murmured just loud enough for the nearest guest to hear. My lips twitched, playing along. Was it? The fire in Lucas's eyes told me that it wasn't just the guests who were listening, and it looked like she had just been physically struck. Her eyes were wide, lips slightly parted in shock. Her face was pale, except for the burning flush creeping up her neck. And Lucas? He was barely holding himself together. I saw the way his fists clenched at his sides, the way his jaw ticked as he stared at me like he was about to lunge across the room and put a fist through my face. But he wouldn't. Not here. Not now. He was too careful, too calculating. But I had just shattered his carefully built world. Sophia turned in my arms, pressing her back against my chest, one hand resting over mine as we faced the stunned crowd. She knew exactly what she was doing, making sure everyone saw us together, making sure they saw us together. I leaned in just enough to make it look intimate, but my voice was all steel. "They're watching." She smirked. "Good." The murmurs started slowly, then grew louder, spreading like wildfire through the ballroom. Weren't they married to Lucas and Anna? Oh my God, do you think they've been cheating too? This is scandalous. Just look at Anna's face. The whispers fed on themselves, growing in size and weight until I knew there was no turning back. The game had officially begun. Lucas couldn't take it anymore. He stormed toward us, his steps quick and aggressive, shoving past a few stunned guests who barely got out of the way in time. Anna was right behind him, her heels clicking frantically against the marble floor. "Daniel," Lucas barked, his voice sharp enough to cut through the air. I turned, slow and measured, my arms still wrapped loosely around Sophia's waist. "Lucas," I greeted coolly, as if we were just two friends catching up at a party. His nostrils flared. "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" I raised a brow. "Enjoying the party. Isn't that what we're all here for?" His fists twitched. He was barely containing himself. "You don't get to act like this," Anna hissed, stepping up beside him. Her voice was trembling, her breathing uneven. She looked from me to Sophia, her face a storm of emotions, jealousy, anger, fear. You can't just show up here together like you two did." Sophia cut in smoothly. Anna's mouth snapped shut. Lucas took a step forward, his voice dropping lower, threatening. "You're playing a dangerous game, Daniel." I smiled. "So were you." His eyes darkened. I saw it then, the moment he realized he wasn't in control anymore. The moment he knew that whatever power he once had over me was gone. "You don't know what you're doing." Anna tried again, reaching out as if to touch me, to soften me, like she had done so many times before. I took a step back. "I know exactly what I'm doing," I said, my voice quiet, controlled. "Which is more than I can say for you too." Lucas exhaled sharply, trying to regain his composure, trying to find a way to flip this back in his favor. But I'd spent years in business negotiations with him. I knew how he operated. He needed control, needed to feel like he was winning. So I took it away from him. I leaned in slightly, my voice dropping just for him. "You thought you could take what's mine and walk away unscathed?" Lucas stiffened. Newsflash, I continued, my lips curving into a slow, deliberate smirk. "You were never as smart as you thought you were." His eyes flickered with something raw, panic, maybe. "Good." Anna let out a shaky breath, stepping between us, desperate to defuse the tension. "Daniel, please, can we just talk about this? In private." I tilted my head. "Sure," I said. "Just like how you two kept things private?" She flinched. The room around us was silent. Everyone was watching. I saw reporters in the crowd, their phones subtly raised, already recording. The scandal was unfolding in real time, and they were eating it up. Lucas realized it at the same time I did. His face paled slightly, and he took a step back. He wanted out of this conversation, out of the public before it got any worse. But I wasn't done yet. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out my phone. Then, without breaking eye contact with Lucas, I tapped the screen, sending a message I had already typed hours before. A second later, a notification pinged on his phone. Lucas's hand twitched as he pulled it from his pocket, his face morphing from confusion to outright horror as he read what I'd sent him. Anna frowned, glancing at his screen. "What is it?" Sophia smiled. "Oh, that's just the evidence of his other affairs." Anna's breath caught. "Other what?" Lucas's face turned ashen. I gave him a slow, amused smile. "Oops," I said, just loud enough for the people nearby to hear. A few audible gasps rippled through the room. Anna snatched his phone from his hands, her fingers scrolling furiously. Her lips parted as she read through the proof. The other women, the messages, the receipts. Her betrayal had just been met with an even bigger one. And in that moment, I saw the exact second her heartbreak turned into rage. She lifted her gaze, and for the first time since this night started, she wasn't looking at me like the enemy. She was looking at Lucas. "How fucking dare you?" she whispered. Lucas paled. "Anna." But she was already moving, already shoving his chest, already raising her voice as the whispers around us turned into full-blown chaos. Lucas wasn't the only one exposed tonight, and I was going to enjoy every second of it. If the tension before had been thick, now it was suffocating. The ballroom was no longer just a place for elegant socializing. It had transformed into a battlefield, and I had just lit the fuse that set off the explosion. Anna stood frozen, staring at Lucas's phone, scrolling through the overwhelming evidence of his other affairs. The betrayal she had inflicted on me had just been reflected right back at her, and the irony was delicious. "You son of a bitch," she whispered, her voice shaking. Lucas reached for her wrist. "Anna, listen, it's not what." Smack! The slap echoed through the ballroom like a gunshot. Guests gasped. Conversations stopped entirely. The music, which had still been playing in the background, stuttered to a halt. Lucas staggered back, his cheek flaming red. He looked utterly stunned, like he hadn't even considered that Anna, the woman he had been stringing along while screwing multiple others, would dare retaliate. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing. "You cheated on me?" Anna's voice was no longer a whisper. It was rising, gaining momentum, raw and humiliated. "You fucking hypocrite. How many?" Lucas ran a hand down his face, composing himself, then straightened his suit jacket. He shot me a look of pure venom. "You set this up," he accused. "You planned this." I smiled. "Of course I did. And it turned on me next." "You knew about this?" she demanded, still clutching Lucas's phone like it was a live grenade. I shrugged, utterly unconcerned. "Only recently. But the difference between you and me is that I didn't ignore it." Her face twisted with something between fury and guilt, and she hated it. Hated that she was no longer the one in control. Hated that she wasn't the one standing on the moral high ground. She turned back to Lucas. "How long?" she demanded. Lucas hesitated, glancing around as if looking for an escape. "Anna, please. Not here. Not in front of—" "How? Fucking long?" she screamed. People were eating this up. Some were pretending to be shocked. Others were blatantly recording on their phones. Reporters were scribbling in their notepads. This wasn't just a scandal anymore. It was history. Lucas clenched his jaw. "A few months," he admitted. Anna's entire body trembled. "Months." She let out a humorless, shaking laugh. "And how many women?" Lucas hesitated again. That was all the answer she needed. "You're a fucking joke," she spat. "I threw away my marriage for you." I saw Sophia smirk beside me, sipping her champagne like she was watching her favorite drama unfold. "This is so much better than I expected," she murmured under her breath. Lucas took another step toward Anna, his voice low, urgent. "Baby, please, let's not do this here." Anna let out a dry, humorless laugh. "Oh, now you care about appearances? Now that your reputation is on the fucking floor." She gestured around to the watching crowd. "Guess what, Lucas? Everyone already knows." More whispers, more scandalized murmurs. Lucas was cornered, and he knew it. He straightened his shoulders, trying to recover, to salvage whatever dignity he had left. His gaze flicked to me. Fine. You got what you wanted, Daniel. You humiliated us. But what now? You think this makes you a winner? I tilted my head. I think it makes you a loser. Lucas's nostrils flared. You're pathetic. You think walking in here with Sophia, making a scene, is going to fix what happened? I took a step forward, my voice deadly calm. No, Lucas. I don't think it fixes anything. But I do think it evens the playing field. Lucas's entire body tensed, like he wanted to hit me right then and there. He wouldn't. He couldn't. He had already lost. Anna, on the other hand, looked like she was about to vomit. It was over. And then, crash. A glass shattered somewhere near the bar. The tension was that thick. Lucas exhaled sharply and turned on his heel. We're leaving. Anna didn't follow. She just stood there, still gripping his phone, her eyes glassy. She looked so lost, as if the world she had been living in had just been ripped apart, and now she had nothing left to hold on to. It almost made me feel sorry for her. Almost. Sophia shifted beside me. Well, she said cheerfully, that was fun. I let out a slow breath, finally allowing myself to relax. Yeah, it really was. The ballroom was still buzzing with murmurs, people trying to process what had just happened. This was the kind of scandal that would ripple through the city for weeks, if not months. And Lucas? He wasn't just ruined socially. His business, his partnerships, his reputation had just taken a nuclear hit. As for Anna, well, she had no one to blame but herself. I turned to Sophia. Drink. She grinned. Absolutely. And with that, we walked to the bar, leaving the wreckage of our past behind us. The fallout began before we even left the gala. As Sophia and I sipped our drinks at the bar, the room remained thick with hushed whispers, stolen glances, and the glow of phone screens as messages spread like wildfire. Lucas had stormed out, dragging his shredded reputation behind him, but Anna had remained behind, still gripping his phone like it was the only thing tethering her to reality. I watched as she slowly realized what she had done. Not just to me, but to herself. She had thrown away our marriage for a man who had played her just as easily as she had played me. And now she had nothing. Sophia exhaled beside me, setting down her empty champagne glass. I should probably get home before reporters start knocking on my door. I smirked. Oh, they're definitely knocking. She rolled her eyes. You really did your homework, didn't you? Of course. I took a sip of whiskey. Revenge is best served meticulously. She chuckled, shaking her head. Well, you certainly serve it tonight. Lucas is done. Anna, well, she's probably regretting everything right about now. I glanced back at Anna, who was still standing off to the side of the ballroom. Her posture had shifted. She wasn't angry anymore. She wasn't panicked. She just looked defeated. And maybe that was the most satisfying part of all. By morning, the media had exploded. Sophia sent me the first article around 6 a.m. Billionaire Lucas Carter caught in high society scandal. Multiple affairs, public fallout at gala. I read it over coffee, smirking at the sheer brutality of it. Lucas had tried to do damage control overnight, but it was too late. Every major outlet had already picked up the story, and investors hate bad press. By noon, his company had lost millions in stock value. By the afternoon, two of his biggest partners had publicly distanced themselves. By evening, he had deleted all of his social media. And Anna? She had called. Twice. I hadn't answered. She had also texted. Anna, Daniel, please talk to me. Anna, I was wrong, okay? I know that now. Anna, please, I just need to explain. Explain? Explain what? That she had spent months sneaking around with my best friend? That she had enjoyed humiliating me in silence? That she never planned to stop? I left her on read. Sophia texted me shortly after. Sophia, Anna just called me. She sounded bad. Me, not my problem. Sophia, cold. I like it. Me, she made her bed. Let her lie in it. And I meant it. For the first time in months, I wasn't weighed down by her choices, by their betrayal. For the first time, I was free. Lucas had underestimated just how fast a reputation could crumble. By Monday, the board of our company had called an emergency meeting. Not because of me, because of him. I sat at the long, polished conference table, watching as he slumped in his chair, his once unshakable confidence shattered. The whispers among the executives weren't even subtle anymore. How do you think he'd get away with this? The investors are pulling out. We have to do something. This company can't afford his mess. Lucas knew it was coming. He just didn't want to believe it. But when the chairman cleared his throat and said the words, "We're requesting your resignation," Lucas, that was it. Game over. He stiffened. You can't be serious. The chairman, an older man with sharp blue eyes, simply adjusted his glasses. Your scandal has cost this company more in 2 days than we usually lose in an entire year. If you don't step down voluntarily, we'll be forced to remove you. Lucas looked at me then. Me. Like this was my fault. Like I was the reason he had lost everything. But I just tilted my head and smiled. Tough break, buddy. That night, I finally called Anna back. Not to talk. To end things. She picked up on the first ring, her voice small. "Daniel, you're getting the papers tomorrow," I said, my tone clipped businesslike. "Sign them. No conteste, no alimony, no games." A pause. Then, "Daniel, please." "Goodbye, Anna." And I hung up. By the end of the week, Sophia and I met up again, this time with no pretense of revenge. Just two people who had been burned. Two people who had come out stronger. She slid into the seat across from me at the quiet lounge bar, a teasing smirk playing on her lips. "So, now that our exes are officially out of our lives, what happens next?" I exhaled, rolling my whiskey glass between my fingers. "Not sure." Sophia leaned in, her voice dropping into something softer. "You know, we could continue this charade. For a little while, at least." I smirked. "You just want to make Lucas miserable, don't you?" She grinned. "It's a perk." I chuckled, shaking my head. "Sophia, if we keep this up, it stops being a game." Her gaze held mine for a long moment. Maybe I don't want it to be a game. Something in my chest tightened. For the first time since this entire ordeal began, I wasn't thinking about revenge. I wasn't thinking about Anna. I wasn't thinking about Lucas. I was just looking at her, and I liked what I saw. For the first time in months, I woke up without anger sitting heavy in my chest. The revenge had been served, the damage was done, and now I was in the aftermath, where reality settled like dust after an explosion. Lucas was finished. Anna had lost. And yet, as I stood in my kitchen, staring down at the divorce papers that had just been delivered, I realized something I hadn't considered before. Revenge hadn't made me feel better. It had been satisfying. Hell, it had been exhilarating watching Lucas's world burn and seeing Anna finally feel the pain she had inflicted on me. But satisfaction and healing weren't the same thing. The wound was still there, and I wasn't sure it would ever fully close. A knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. I already knew who it was before I opened it. Anna. She stood there, her face pale, her makeup minimal, something she only did when she was too emotionally wrecked to care about appearances. Her usually pristine blonde hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, and for the first time in years, she looked small. She held the divorce papers in one hand, gripping them tightly, her knuckles white. I crossed my arms. "You're supposed to sign those." She swallowed hard. "Can I come in?" "No." Her breath hitched in my coldness, but I didn't care. "You don't have to do this, Daniel," she whispered. I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Do this? You mean divorce you?" "Anna, that decision was made the moment you spread your legs for Lucas." Her face twisted in shame. "I know I messed up. That's one hell of an understatement." Tears pooled in her eyes, but they didn't move me. "Not anymore. Daniel, please." She sucked in a breath. "I was stupid. I was selfish. Yeah, you were." I tilted my head. "And now you're here? Because Lucas wasn't who you thought he was. Because he betrayed you." She flinched. "That's not why I'm here." "Then why are you here?" I asked. "Because I don't need an apology, Anna. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't change the fact that you lied to me for months. That you chose him over me." Tears finally spilled down her cheeks. "I miss you." I stared at her for a long, silent moment. Then I exhaled. "I don't miss you." Her lips parted, fresh pain flickering across her face. And for the first time, I didn't feel anything for her. No nostalgia, no lingering attachment. Just nothing. I reached for the papers she was still clutching. "Sign them." And don't come back. She let out a shaky breath, then slowly nodded. And with that, I shut the door in her face. By Wednesday, Lucas's company had officially announced his resignation. The news spread across business networks. Articles analyzing how a single scandal had dismantled one of the city's most influential figures. Investors were pulling out faster than he could control, and the last I heard, his attorneys were scrambling to protect what assets he had left. And me? I was fine. I had lost a wife and a business partner, but I hadn't lost myself. I had survived. Lucas hadn't. And Anna? She was stuck in the wreckage she had helped create. That Friday, I met Sophia again. Not for revenge. Not to scheme. Just because I wanted to. We ended up at her place, sitting on her sleek leather couch with glasses of wine in hand. The city skyline stretched beyond her floor-to-ceiling windows, lights twinkling against the dark. She studied me over the rim of her glass. "You look lighter." I exhaled, leaning back. "I feel lighter." "Good." She smirked, "Because I was starting to worry you were going to turn into some brooding, tortured soul." I chuckled. "I think I did for a while." She set down her glass and shifted closer, her fingers brushing against mine. "So what now?" The warmth of her touch sent a flicker of something through me. Something real. "I don't know," I admitted. "For the first time in a long time, I don't have a plan." Sophia smirked. "That's kind of hot, actually." I laughed. "Yeah." She nodded. "Yeah." And then, without hesitation, she leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't like the kiss at the gala. There was no audience, no need to prove a point. It was slow, intentional, real. When she pulled back, she searched my eyes. "Was that okay?" I exhaled, my fingers tracing the curve of her jaw. "More than okay." She smiled. "Then do it again." So I did. And for the first time in months, I wasn't thinking about Anna, or Lucas, or revenge, just her. And this time, it wasn't about getting even. It was about starting over. Sophia's lips were still warm against mine when I pulled back, her breath mingling with mine in the quiet of her apartment. For a moment, we just looked at each other. No words, no schemes, no bitterness lingering in the air. Just two people standing at the edge of something unknown. Her green eyes searched mine, almost hesitant. That felt different. I swallowed, my fingers still resting lightly on her waist. Because it was. She let out a small, nervous laugh, as if trying to shake off the weight of the moment. "So what does that mean for us?" And there it was. The question I hadn't been ready to answer, because for the first time, I didn't have an answer. For months, my life had revolved around revenge, around them. Anna, Lucas, their betrayal, my retaliation. Every move I had made had been calculated, leading to a perfectly executed downfall. But now, standing in Sophia's dimly lit apartment, feeling the heat of her body so close to mine, I realized something terrifying. I had no idea what came next. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed, staring at the ceiling. Sophia and I hadn't slept together. After that kiss, after several kisses, if I was being honest, she had pulled back, studying me with that sharp, knowing look of hers. "You need time," she had said simply. "So do I." And she was right. We had both just gone through hell. We had both been blindsided by the people we loved, and just because we had found comfort in each other didn't mean we were magically healed. So I had kissed her goodnight, walked out of her apartment, and spent the rest of the night thinking. Now, as I sat on the edge of my bed, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I already knew who it was before I picked it up. Anna. Her name flashed on the screen, and for the first time, I didn't feel anything. Not anger. Not sadness, just emptiness. She had called 3 times yesterday. Each time, I had ignored her. But something told me she wasn't going to stop. I sighed, running a hand down my face before finally answering. "What?" A sharp inhale on the other end. She hadn't expected me to actually pick up. "Daniel," she breathed, her voice cautious, unsure. Thank you for answering." I said nothing. Just let the silence stretch until she got the message. She swallowed audibly. I want to talk. Really talk. About what?" My voice was flat, devoid of the emotion she was clearly hoping for. She hesitated. "About us." "There is no us." A pause. Then, barely a whisper. Can't there be? I clench my jaw. Don't do that, Anna. Do what? Try to manipulate me. Try to pretend like you suddenly regret everything because Lucas turned out to be a piece of shit. She let out a shaky breath. That's not. It is. My grip on the phone tightened. You had months to choose me, Anna. Months. And you didn't. But I was stupid, she cried. I made a mistake. I laughed, bitter and cold. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is saying something hurtful in an argument. I leaned forward, voice low. You didn't make a mistake, Anna. You made a choice. Over and over again. Silence. And then, finally, you're right, she whispered. I blinked. I hadn't expected that. I did choose him, she admitted, her voice small. I thought he was better. I thought he was exciting. I thought I was missing something in our marriage, and I chased it. And I was wrong. I let out a slow exhale, my fingers tapping against my knee. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want to lose you, she said, her voice breaking. Because I still love you, Daniel. And I want to know if there's any part of you that still loves me. My heart should have clenched at her words. Once upon a time, it would have. But now, I just felt tired. Anna, I said, my voice steady. I don't love you anymore. Her breath hitched. Daniel, you wanted to know if there was anything left. I continued, my grip on the phone tightening. There's not. A long silence. Then a choked sob. And for the first time, I realized something important. I had won. Not just the revenge. Not just the public humiliation of Anna and Lucas. I had won myself back. Because I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I was just done. And that, more than anything, was freedom. I knocked once. Sophia opened the door almost immediately, her expression unreadable. Daniel? I stepped inside, letting the door shut behind me. I just got off the phone with Anna, I admitted. She raised an eyebrow. And I told her I don't love her anymore. Something in her posture relaxed. Good. I took a slow breath, running a hand through my hair. I don't know where I'm going from here, Sophia. I don't know what comes next. She studied me for a long moment, then tilted her head. What do you want to come next? I swallowed. I think I want to find out with you. Her lips parted slightly, something flickering in her green eyes. You sure about that? I took a step closer, brushing my fingers against hers. Yeah, I am. She let out a small, amused breath. Then I guess we'll figure it out together. And when she pulled me into a slow, deliberate kiss, I realized something else. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This wasn't about proving a point. This was about something real, something worth building, something that was finally mine. I had spent months consumed by anger, by betrayal, by the need for revenge. But now I was free. For the first time in forever, I wasn't waking up thinking about Anna, about Lucas, about the lies and the heartbreak. I was thinking about me, and about Sophia. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks later. Anna didn't fight it. Maybe she knew there was no point. Maybe she had finally realized there was no version of this story where she got me back. Either way, she signed. And just like that, we were over. Lucas, on the other hand, wasn't faring as well. His business had collapsed. His name had become a punchline in high society circles. And the last I heard, he had left the city entirely, desperate to escape the scandal. I had destroyed him. But the funny thing? I didn't care anymore. Once, I had imagined this moment would bring me ultimate satisfaction. The knowledge that Lucas had lost everything. That he had suffered. That he had paid the price. And while there was some satisfaction in knowing he was gone, it didn't define me anymore. Because my life was no longer about him. It was mine again. One night, about a month after the gala, Sophia and I found ourselves on the rooftop of her apartment building. A bottle of wine between us, the city skyline stretching out before us. You ever think about what would have happened if none of this went down? She asked, swirling her glass. I leaned back against the railing, considering. You mean if Anna and Lucas hadn't been cheating? She nodded. I exhaled, looking up at the night sky. I probably would have spent the rest of my life believing I was happy. Sophia arched a brow. Believing. I glanced at her. I wasn't really happy, was I? If I had been, I would have seen the signs. I wouldn't have been so blind. Sophia was quiet for a moment, then took a slow sip of wine. You think you're happy now? I didn't even hesitate. Yeah, I do. She smirked. Well, that's good, because I really like this whole not being fueled by revenge version of you. I chuckled, shaking my head. Yeah. She leaned in slightly, her voice softer. Yeah. I tilted my head, studying her. And what about you? Do you think about what could have been? Sophia let out a small breath. Sometimes. But then I remember that if none of this had happened, I never would have realized how strong I am. I nodded slowly, understanding exactly what she meant. She turned to face me fully, setting her glass down. And I never would have met this version of you. Her words sent something warm through me, something real and steady. I reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Then I guess everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to. She smiled. Yeah, I guess it did. And when she kissed me, slow and deep under the city lights, I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was real. And for the first time in a long, long time, I was ready for it.